Religion versus spirituality, Smackdown, Film at 11. What is the difference between religion and spirituality? How do we evolve from religion to spirituality? Can you? Should you? How do you do this? And what does this spiritual but not religious statement really mean? Hi, my name is Reverend Steve Benkin. I'm the author of Religion, Been There, Done That, Discovering the Map of Your Spiritual Journey. And over these next few video courses, we're going to be going over concepts of spiritual attainment, spiritual growth to help you achieve your highest spiritual level. Now, I've been through 4 seminaries and I've embraced over 20 different religions in over 30 years. I've had more religious conversion experiences than people change their wardrobes. And what I have found is even though everyone's journey is unique, the journey of the soul is common across humanity. And I developed over my experience what I call a spiritual map that explains your journey from beginning to your highest spiritual attainment. We're going to be going over this map and some of the key concepts from my book in this course. One of the key concepts I found is important to get new insights into our lives. I don't believe that we're human beings that just have a spiritual dimension to it, but rather we are spiritual beings living a human experience. Therefore, what affects us spiritually also affects us on a real human level. Let me give you a good example why insights are so important. We get some results in our life. Results. For example, we gain weight. That's a result. Well, why do we gain weight? Well, we've taken some action. What was that action? Well, we overate. Well, why did we overeat? Well, we felt bad about ourselves. That's emotion. Now, why do we feel bad about ourselves? Because we thought we were unattractive. So our thoughts leads to our emotions, leads to the actions we take, leads to our results. We think we're unattractive, we feel bad about ourselves, we overeat, we gain weight. And guess what? By gaining weight, we think we're unattractive. We feel bad, we overeat, we gain weight, now we think we're unattractive. You see, it's a loop. It's a very, very dangerous and vicious cycle. Now, traditional therapy will help you break this. Some people say you focus on the action, you take different action. There's a lot of good therapy on changing and getting control of your emotions, DBT, CBT, those kind of courses. Lately, there's been a lot of focus on thoughts. Change your thinking, change your life. Now, all this stuff is good, but I believe everything starts here. I believe this is the entry point, that it's the beginning of your thoughts. But the problem is, it's very hard to change our thinking and to break the cycle, the pattern here. Where do we get our thoughts from? I believe it's from our soul. Our soul. When our thoughts are out of alignment of our soul, we have crazy thinking. We have thinking that's not productive, which gives us non-productive emotions, non-productive actions, and results we don't want in our life. By having our thoughts aligned with our soul, we'll now have proper thoughts, which lead to proper emotions, proper actions, and then we get the results we want. Now, where does the soul get inspired from? Well, ultimately, I believe it's from the divine. God, the universe, whatever you want to call it. Right? The universe, God, the divine, wrong arrow there. Inspires our soul, which, if we are in alignment, gives us proper thoughts, which then leads to proper emotions, actions, and results. Therefore, by being aligned with our soul, we're going to get better results. So by taking this course and learning new insights into your life, it is very possible you may see improved results in your life. Now, this part here, this big circle, is in the area of psychology. I'm not a trained psychologist. I'm not going to talk about this. What I am going to talk about is this, the divine soul and thought connection, because it is by our spirituality and it's through spiritual insights that I believe we can realign our thoughts to our soul, and by having new thoughts based upon our soul, we can change our life. Remember, I said I created a spiritual map of our journey. But before I can show you the map, we have to go over some key concepts of how I created the map. And there's two key concepts that you need to understand. One is the concept of paradigm. Now, I've got a whole chapter on this, but to summarize it, a paradigm is a belief system. It is a way to look at things. Whether you think the universe is inherently good or inherently evil, where God is a God of peace or a God of war, whatever, your entire belief system is of a particular thing is a paradigm. And there's no more powerful paradigm than a religious one, how God works in the world. So the map is a series of spiritual dimensions of which each one is a paradigm, is a different belief system until we reach our highest level. Well, how do we move up then? Something called a paradigm shift. It's actually a very complex process, but essentially what that means is you change your paradigm. Your belief system is now different. And what drives this whole thing, what drives the movement up into the map, into the different dimensions of the map, is that we realize that at every dimension, these thoughts, these beliefs, these belief systems no longer serves us. There's something about that belief system that no longer works. It no longer provides answers to our most pressing problems. For example, when I was a Christian, I had a very difficult time believing that God would send non-Christians to hell. Right? I used to believe that. I had to have a paradigm shift to say, no, God's more a loving God, and there is room for non-Christians in heaven. I know, what a wild concept, right? Well, that was a very difficult change for me. Thankfully, it happened a long time ago, but that was an example of a paradigm shift. Now, paradigm shifts do not mean religious conversions. I've gone through them, and let me tell you, you do not have to change religions in order to have a paradigm shift. Some cases you might have to, but in general, I found that the concepts I'm going to talk about in this map apply to all religions, and that you can reach your highest level of your spirituality in any religion. So you do not need to change necessarily a religion. Right? We talk about, one of the things I talk about in the book is the concept of false conversions. What that I mean is you say, well, this religion is wrong, this religion is right, I'm going to leave this religion because it's wrong, embrace this one is right. Well, that has not been my experience. My experience is more one of realignment. That's the theme of my book, that we realign our souls to a religious tradition that speaks to us. So when authentic conversions to me are not really conversions, they're realignment. Where one religion just doesn't speak to you as well as another one helps you better in your journey. Doesn't mean that the other religion is wrong or the other religion isn't as good. It just means that this religion is better for you. So I'm not going to be talking about any specific religions except for as examples, but I want to emphasize again the concepts I'm teaching here, and the concept of the map is cross-religion. Right? It's a level of spirituality, and spirituality crosses the barrier of religion. So now we've got some basic concepts out of the way. Let's start exploring the map. So where does our journey begin? Believe it or not, this was one of the hardest questions for me to ask. Was it when I first embraced a religion? When I first believed in God? Was it the religion that I was exposed to as a child? When did my journey really begin? Well, if you remember, I said I don't believe we're human beings that just have a spiritual dimension, but we are spiritual beings living a human experience. Therefore, for me, the journey begins when our spirit is formed. Well, when is that? Well, I'll let you decide that. But for the purposes of just the map, I'm calling this the dimension of conception. Now, what that means to you is your own personal belief system, right? It's your own paradigm. But my point is, at some point, our spirit is conceived. Now, you can believe that happens in the womb, before the womb, or after the womb, and that's okay. But the point is, at some point, your spirit comes into being, and that is, because I believe that's who you are, that's where your journey begins. But that's a moment in time, right? What happens after that? Well, from the time you become a human being and you're into this world, you then are exposed to what I call birth religion. This is the religion of your caregivers. Now, I have people tell me, but Steve, my parents were not religious. I go, well, maybe not, but they still are imparting a religious view onto you. For example, if they never ever talk about God or never go to church or temple or whatever, then that means that they're sharing to you that God is not important in their lives. How God works in this world is that God really isn't there. That's a spiritual perspective by itself. If your family ever celebrated Christmas, that is a unique Christian experience. Even if you look at it from a perspective of it's just an American holiday, if you look at the manger, the angels, or sing any Christmas carols, if you actually look those Christmas carols lyrics and study them, there's a profound Christian message there. So whether you believe it or not, your parents probably expose you to a religious view at an early age, one way or another. But that only takes you so far. Now, at some point, and again, this is my belief system, is I believe we say, I don't believe this anymore. It's an area of what I call non-belief. Now, yes, this includes the area of atheism, but it's far more than that. It's the concept of not believing in something. Now, in the case of the birth religion, it might very well be that, you know what, Mom, Dad, it worked for you, but it's not working for me. I'm exploring something else. Raise your hand if you explored another religion other than the one you were raised in. I'm seeing a lot of hands being raised, right? It's becoming more and more typical. Now, you do not have to leave your birth religion, by the way. This map applies to any religion and to stay within a religion. Right? You can experience the divine at any dimension in this map, and you can reach your highest spiritual attainment in any one religion. But you need to stop believing in one thing before you can believe something else. You have to say no to the old way before you can say yes to the new way. Right? You have to leave room for growth. And that brings us to the next level, which is the level of doubt. The dimension of doubt. Now, doubt also includes agnosticism. I'll talk a lot about that in the book. But it's obviously far more. Doubt is saying you've been exposed to a new way of thinking, but you're not sure. You're going, maybe, I don't know, I'm skeptical. Doubt is so healthy. Faith without doubt, to me, is a false faith. I do not believe any religion that I've ever explored wants its members to have dumb, blind faith. We need to figure this out for ourselves and to have something that resonates with us as truth for us. And doubting something is a great way to embrace something. Because doubting is, in a sense, the bridge between the old way and the new way. Doubt and non-belief are so important. That's why I believe these two things are really what help move us up in the map. Every single dimension of the map, for us to progress, that paradigm shift that I talked about earlier, occurs because we start saying, there's something here I don't believe. Something here that's not right. I need to find another way. For me, when I was in my deep Christian faith, I had a problem with the traditional Christian belief that God sends non-Christians to hell. I had a real problem with that. And luckily I found a way to say that, you know what, God is loving and merciful, and there are other paths besides Christianity to get to heaven, to get a relationship with God. Now, I know not everyone believes that, but I do. But I had to say no to that belief, and I questioned until I embraced a new belief. You see that? So I could remain within my Christian faith at that time and change my paradigm, my belief system. Well, that's all we're going to go over today. We've got another 10, 11 dimensions to go over. But I wanted to go over the basics here. You're going to get an inner discovery assignment. Think of it as spiritual homework, where you're going to learn how to apply some of these questions, these concepts, through a series of questions to have you really think about these things and apply them practically to your life. I believe this map has a practical use. Because we are spiritual beings living a human experience, when we get insight into our spiritual life, we get insights into our human life. Right? And so these insights that I hope you will gain from this inner discovery assignment will help you hopefully move up in your journey. Well, that's all for today, and I look forward to seeing you next time on Evolving from Religion to Spirituality, the Journey of the Soul. Thank you.